I just want to talk about something real quick. It's about God. I understand that there's a lot going on in the life. I understand that we get trapped in social media, we get trapped in shopping, we get trapped in doing a lot of things we probably shouldn't be doing. Instead of being productive, we get trapped into doing things that we otherwise wouldn't be doing, or we don't understand why that's happening. And then we look back and we're like, I had so much time to spend with God during that time, or I had so much time to do something better, and I chose not to, and I missed that. You start to think about how much you truly miss that, and I can't be the only one that also thinks that because this is something from me as well, where you sit there and you look at what you're doing at that time, and you're like, what did I do? Like, where did it go wrong? And we wonder why we gotten far away from God, or we wonder why God's no longer the center of our life, and we feel like we've been abandoned, right? You feel like you've been abandoned. You feel like God has left you, or that you're just stuck in a place that you shouldn't be stuck at. And if I'm being really honest with you, I feel that way a lot. I feel that way a lot where I'm sitting there and I just don't feel the same way, or I don't feel the same love towards God that I was before. And I'm wondering, where did he go? Like, what happened? But the important thing to think about when it comes to that is that he didn't go anywhere. And it's difficult to accept that he hasn't gone anywhere because you can't feel him. And it's one of those things where you need to remember and understand that walking in faith and walking as a believer means that we will not be feeling the same highs or the same lows all the time. That is not going to happen. We may feel God, we may feel His presence so deeply in different times in our life, whether it's like church, like it's hyped up at church, like, yeah, I feel God, yeah, God's there. Or you go to a concert, or you go to like a youth thing, or you go to like just some event and you hear someone speak and you're just feeling God's presence. But then you're walking into Target one day, or you're just driving around and you don't feel the same feeling. Or you're sitting there and you're praising God at a concert and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like," you feel him. And then you're praying and you're praising in your car and you don't feel anything. It's not that God isn't there, but we need to remember that our expectations shouldn't be that we feel that feeling all the time. But if I'm going to be honest, if we as believers are going to be honest, more often than not, we're not going to feel that. More often than not, we are not going to feel that presence. But that's okay. That is okay. You don't have to feel God's presence to know that He's there. You don't have to sit there and just like imagine it, because it's already happening. You're always going to be connected to God in some way as a believer. You are always going to. That's where the faith comes in. Faith comes in with the absence of seeing something, with the absence of something being there, but you still believe it. You still put your trust in that. And we have this expectation that we're going to always feel God, and when we don't feel God, that means God's abandoned us. But that's where the faith comes in. Remembering that God is there, remembering that we can feel God, remember that God is always right next to you. He's always going to be there. The only way that you're going to get further from God is if you move yourself. And we wonder why, in some situations, we think about it. We're like, why do we feel far away from God? Why do we feel like we're disconnected from God? Well, it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, where we've caused ourselves to be so busy. We've caused ourselves to be so distracted in a way. And it's not, this isn't going like, oh, crazy technology guy kind of stuff, but it's like just, we do so much. in our day-to-day life. And a lot of us don't sit down, or we don't sit down and truly like do something, because like a lot of us sit down and watch TV. A lot of us do that. I do that. A lot of us do that. We sit down and watch TV, right? Or we sit down and we're scrolling on our phone. A lot of us do that. I do that. I do that a lot. And but we don't consider that as free time. We consider that as we're doing something. And then we don't realize that that takes up a long period of our day. Because if you, again, me here, having someone who has above 8 hours of screen time, I should know that there's room. There's room for God, but I'm not making that room. And because of the fact that you're not making room for God, because of the fact that you may be sitting there being like, well, let me do this real quick, and then that thing that you said let me do real quick turns into like 5 more things, and then you never get to it, you're wondering why you don't feel God. You still wonder why you don't feel God. Because you're not going to. You're not taking that time. You're not putting in the effort that you need to be putting in order to do that. You're not doing anything. And it's dangerous. That's a dangerous thing to do. Like, especially as a believer, as someone who is trying to grow with God, spending as least amount of time as possible with God is the most dangerous thing you can do. Because that's where the doubt comes in. That's where the fear comes in. That's where you sit there and you again feel like God's not there. You feel like God's abandoned you. You feel so much less connected and so much more distant, but you're not seeing the fact that you're the one who's become distant. You're thinking that God's the one who's left you. But it's not how that works. God didn't move a muscle. If anything, God wants to move closer to you. You just need to put in the effort to get closer to Him. I did a video before on TikTok about how we fall into sin a lot. And as people who fall into sin, you of course pray to God for forgiveness for one thing, but oftentimes you'll pray and ask for his wisdom, ask for his understanding, ask for his like deliverance from that sin, for him to bring you out of that sin, to help you get away from it. But asking God to do that is a good thing, and I mentioned that in the TikTok. But also what I mentioned was you can't just ask him and then you not do anything about it either. You know? You have to also put in that effort. You have to put in your 2 feet in front of the other to get away from that. And I said the same thing about conviction in another video on a whole different channel, where it was about how we don't understand a lot of times that when we are convicted or when we feel bad about doing something that is against the Bible, that we pray to God to have him get us away from that. And then we don't do anything either. I say that because we're growing as a faith, as a body of believers, as an overall group of people. We have grown lazy. We have grown so lazy in our walk with God. I will attest to this as someone who has a really, really, really big struggle reading their Bible every day. A really big struggle praying as often as I should. I have a struggle with that. I struggle so much with that. And it hurts because I know I can fix that. It hurts because I know that I can change. But you need to want to change. You can't just ask God to make you change, because he's not going to make you do anything. He'll lead you to opportunities to do something. He'll lead you to opportunities to change. But he's not going to lead you away from something, like pushing you away. He's not going to forcefully push you away from something or push you towards something. He'll just lead you there with breadcrumbs, essentially. Think about it. He'll lead you with breadcrumbs, and you follow the breadcrumbs until you get to a certain spot, and then he'll leave you there so then you have your own choice to go and do that. You have your own choice to look ahead of you and say, I could go towards that because he's been leading you closely there. He leads you down the line until you're right there, until you're right in front of it, and nothing happens. Most of the time, nowadays, I don't want to be honest, nothing happens. He'll lead you closer to you. Say you start a devotion. You go 2, 3 days. You think it's great. Something ends up happening. You end up having to do something the next day and that morning, so you miss your devotional time. Go throughout your day. You're like, oh, I'm just going to do all the other stuff. You forget about that devotion. Next day comes. What do? Do you remember that devotion again? Do you remember that devotion? Are you actually remembering to go back to it? Or are you just like, because of that one incident that happened, you're just forgetting all about the Bible, forgetting all about reading the Bible that and every single day? Are you just forgetting that? Or are you remembering it? Are you putting it into your mindset that God is leading you to want to do that? He's giving you so much free time during the day, actually, to where you're sitting down, you do one task after another. And let's face it, most of our days are just tasks of for us to do, a to-do list of things to do. And then you get to a free spot. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour maybe. What do you do with that? Scroll on TikTok. What do you do with that? Look on Facebook. What do you do with that? Call somebody. Those aren't bad, but is it taking you away from God? Is it taking you away from the time that you could have used to devote yourself to Him? You know? And I know that a lot of people don't like to do that, which is an issue that you and God need to talk about and face together. But we understand that putting God first in our life is the only way that we'll get closer to Him, but it's also the only way that we'll feel Him again. I'm going back to that. That's what this video is about. Sidetracking a lot. The way to feel God, the way to get closer to God legitimately is to read your word, is to pray without ceasing, spending more time with Him. I did another TikTok about this before. I do a lot of TikToks. You should follow me on TikTok. It's in my description in my YouTube. Anyway, talking about relationships. Do you see yourself in a relationship? Actually, I did this on a YouTube video too. Do you see yourself in a relationship with a spouse or with a girlfriend or with a boyfriend, and you decide to not spend time with them when you 100% have the time to do that, but you chose to be busy instead? How do you think that relationship's going to go? Do you think you're going to have a stronger relationship by putting that person off? By putting them off because you have other things to do? Are you going to have a relationship after that? Do it too many times? Are you ever going to get back to that relationship? Do it too many times? Is that other person, are you ever going to even think about that person again because you keep on doing it? You keep on not forgetting about them, but you choose to do something else because in your mind you need to do that other thing when you in reality don't. When in reality you have free time. You don't have to be productive all day long. You don't have to constantly be up and going. Now, yes, reading your word is productive. Reading your word is a productive thing. Praying to God is a productive thing. But we understand that we can do so much more than watch TV. We can do so much more than watch TikTok for so long. I'm not saying don't watch TV or don't watch TikTok because that's not the kind of person that I am. Because I would be a hypocrite because I do those things. What I'm saying is that you don't have to sit there and continue to do other things and neglect the thing that'll give you more. You know what I mean? Like in a relationship, if you keep neglecting your spouse is going to, you're going to grow further away from your spouse because you're choosing to not talk to them. You're choosing to not do anything with them. You are choosing to ignore them. And that's an issue. That is an issue unto itself. But it correlates exactly with God. The same way, if you ignore God, if you do not put in effort with God, you're never going to get closer to Him. You're never going to feel His presence unless He makes His presence known in certain circumstances. But you have to be open to that too. And again, you're going to sit there and you're going to wonder why you feel further away from God is because you're not putting in enough time, because we are lazy, because we're lazy. It's crazy. The amount of times that we sit here and think, the amount of times that I sit here and think that God's abandoned us when we're the ones who are abandoning Him. We're the ones who are spending our time in the world. We're the ones who are turning our back on Him. We're the ones who are forgetting the entire reason as to why we even went to God in the first place, because we're turning our back on Him. Because we're doing a full circle back to the way we used to be. Ignoring God, doing our own thing, becoming distracted, all these things. It's an issue. And I feel like not enough of us are actually making a point to fix that. I'm not making a point to fix that, and I need to make a point to fix that. That's why I love this. I love this channel, not only because I think that, one, I think that I need to change the name. I've changed my name so much on YouTube. It is crazy, but something just doesn't feel right, and I'm about to make a clothing line, possibly. And I might correlate the names. But like, I love this channel because I can just talk constantly. And I know that I should have like topics for each video, but like this has been like a bunch of different topics that I've also pulled from other stuff to this. But I love talking about stuff like this on here because it's personal. Because I'm not just saying it to encourage you, I'm saying it because I'm struggling with it too. Because we need to be more transparent. As believers, we should be more transparent. Because there's so many people, I love them so much. I have so many people I look up to on the internet and in real life that are speakers on God and everything like that. Not enough of us talk about the struggle. Not enough of us talk about the personal experiences that we have in struggling. I feel like we talk a lot about God and His love and His grace and His mercy, which is great, and I'm going to do that too. But we need to be transparent. We need to be transparent because it's not always happy-go-lucky. It's not always amazing. There are problems, believe it or not. There are issues. We go through stuff. We still struggle. But that's the point. That's why we need God, because He's there when we're struggling. Because He makes His presence known when we are falling. But we also need to be aware and be open to the fact that He is there. We need to be open to the fact that He's there to help us. He's there to make us better. He's there to build us up. He's there so that we can put He's there as a foundation. So that we can stand on His solid rock. Genuinely. He's there. He's always going to be there. It goes again, back to the very beginning. He is always there. We just need to accept that. We just need to open up to that. We just need to understand that. Because we fall so short. So often. And we don't blame it on us. We blame it on God. That He's not there. That He's not present. That He's not making Himself known to us. But we need to put in the effort. The only way to know more about God and to learn more about God and who He is through the Word. The only thing to grow closer to Him, reading His Word. Jesus is the living Word of God. Reading His Word gets us closer to that. Gets us closer to Jesus. Gets us closer to God. Because without that, we're not going to know anything. Without that, we're going to struggle. Because we're going to be wondering what's going on. And we're not going to know. Who is God? We're not going to know. What's His personality like? We're not going to know. Because we're not trying to put in our effort during our free time. I do a devotion. I try to do a devotion every morning on this app called Glorify. I love it. It's great. Recommend it to y'all. Awesome. There's a quote, then there's the passage, then there's the devotion for the passage, and then there's a prayer. I never do the prayer. I do my own prayer. But there's a prayer. It literally takes 6 minutes. It says 2 minutes per, it says like 2 minutes per thing. It takes me 6 to 8 minutes to do that. 6 to 8 minutes to read a few verses and to read read a devotion about those verses. The Bible app has so many devotions on there to help you in different circles. You can literally look up like love. You can look up sin. You can look up like something that you're struggling with. You can look that up. Lust. You can look it up, and it'll give you a devotion about it. You can buy devotions at Target now. You can buy devotions at Walmart now. It's that simple. It's not, and it takes between 2 minutes to 10 minutes. That's it. That is all. You can listen to stuff while you're driving. There's podcasts out there. I'm not going to promote myself, but I have videos out there. Other people have better videos out there that you can listen to. It is not that hard. It's not that hard. And I'm not like hounding you about it. I'm hounding myself about it, obviously, but I'm not going to hound you about it. I'm saying it because we make it sound difficult. We make it sound like it's the hardest thing in the world. But in reality, it's not that it's the hardest thing, it's that it's the thing that you don't want to do. That's the reality of it. It's not hard, you just don't want to do it. You don't want to put in the effort. You don't care to put in the effort. But that's okay. Because it is a struggle. But you need to remember that God is there. God extends His grace and extends His mercy every day. His mercies are new every morning, just like the song says. It's in that. That's a verse in the Bible. If I remembered it, I would tell you, but I don't. So there you go. But it's okay. It is okay to be struggling in that. It is okay to have no motivation sometimes in doing that. What I'm trying to tell you is to just try. What I'm telling you is to take the time during your day to read. And the reason why I kept mentioning the devotions is because a lot of us don't know where to start, which is why we never read our word. Because we are handed a Bible and we understand that there's multiple books in that Bible, but we never know where to start. We never know where to go because absolutely nobody tells you to start in Genesis. That's just a fact. Nobody says start at the beginning. Unless you're like reading the Bible all the way through or you're doing it in chronological order. But nobody does that. As a new believer, nobody tells you to start at Genesis. That's never a thing. So it's difficult. I understand that it's difficult. I get that. I still struggle with it, and I've been a believer for about 3 years now. Over 3 years now. I still struggle with it. Especially the last year, it has been super difficult. Super difficult to get into the Bible again. But that's okay. It's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be happy-go-lucky. But the important thing is to remember is that we have the time. We can take the time. You don't have to feel so far away from God. You do not have to feel so disconnected from heaven because He's always there. God is always there. He's always going to extend His love. He's always going to extend His grace. He's always going to extend His mercy. But you need to be open to that. You need to be open to put in the effort. You need to be open to put in the time. You need to be open to take a second, put the phone down, turn the TV off, or if anything, turn on music, calm music, or whatever music. Doesn't matter. Or open up your Bible app on your phone. You don't have to put your phone down. Some people don't even have a Bible and they use the Bible app on their phone. Kudos to you. take the time. It's okay. You can spend 2 minutes. It's okay. I'm not trying to hound you. Again, I'm not trying to hound you. I'm hounding myself, not hounding you. But it's okay. God is there. He knows you're struggling. And he has his arms are literally opened up to you. They are literally opened up to you. You do not have to worry about a thing because he's there. And to me, I find peace in that. I find peace in that. I find peace in knowing that God is always there. I have a struggle feeling certain things because I have so much peace in God that when something happens, I'm like, I understand God. I understand that this is in your plan. I understand that that this is something that you had in mind. I don't know why, but I'm going to trust in that. But you can't find that peace unless you read your word. Because you don't understand God's character. You don't know who he is. Therefore, you're not going to understand the peace. You're not going to understand his wisdom. You're not going to understand his understanding because you're not reading his wisdom or understanding the word. You're not reading that. Anyway, I'm not going to hound y'all anymore. Again, not trying to hound you, but you know what I mean. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is definitely something that I want to try and do more often again. I used to do this on Spotify. I used to do this on a different channel. Deleted all those videos on accident, but it's still on Spotify. But I deleted all the videos on accident on YouTube. So this is why I'm on a new channel now. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope this helped you spiritually. I might start back. I don't know. I have plans. I don't know how those plans are gonna work. It's just it depends on how much time I put into it. Get it? But yeah. Thanks. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, like the video. If you want more, if you want to see more, subscribe. All that stuff. All the YouTuber stuff, whatever. God bless you. Have a good day.